Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slater Jackson. And for you freaky motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. All right, y'all. So, as you already know, we're deep into season four. I still don't know what the layouts of things are going to look like, but here we are. We're having a good time in making it work. And today, we'll be talking about, doing a little nasties and sending nude pictures and shit. So I'm excited to have that conversation. And joining me today is KP. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, doing pretty good. So, um, well, of course, people who've been listening for some time may recognize the voice, but for others who have not, of course, it's an introduction and it's a new season. Do you mind just telling people a little bit about yourself and before we get into this hot and nasty topic of sending news?
Hey, so what's good? My name is KP, and basically, I'm just a little Georgia boy, just country. And for the most part, I'm just, here just to chill and just chilling, laid back. I like hiking, like doing all kind of nature things too, but also I have a little sensual and a little freaky side to me. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, we love it. We love it. I guess we'll definitely need to revisit that when we talk about our topic for the next episode, which is ideal relationships. Because look, KP done told y'all I like a nice little romantic day. Like I could get a little nasty. If you looking, go ahead and jump in those DMs. Let me stop. But as I mentioned, we are talking about sending news. So just to start off this conversation, where do you stand on that concept? Are you for sending news, against sending news? How do you feel about them?
So as long as it's consensual on both ends, I think it's fine. Now, I'm speaking from the perspective of the person who always been in a situation where the person wants the nudes, and sometimes maybe there's a situation where I may not be feeling comfortable because there may be a situation where some people may feel entitled. And
Hmm.
this is mainly it's common, it's most common on apps, particularly on the hookup apps. It's like, how can I say it? Whenever you send a news, sometimes it's like you're auditioning. I always say that because it's like, you're trying to show the goods, and if you got what they want, good. If you don't, they're the next person. So I think it's one of those things where it's like oftentimes it's I don't want to say it's objectifying, but it's also like you're showing yourself just so you can be validated and everything like that. So it's one of those things.
Yes. Oh, I'm so ready to have this conversation. But like similar to you, it's the consent portion matters a lot. And I'm not too much of a fan of sending nudes. However, I'm willing to send nudes, especially when I'm comfortable with the person. But
Right.
that entitlement thing, like, being on the apps and whatnot, and people like I like that you mentioned like it's a tool of like validation that if what I have is not what you're looking for, then it's like, okay, cool. So now it's like, were you really attracted to me? Did you really want to engage with me? Like, what is it that's now turning you off? And the another part of that, like me personally, if you need to see my news in order to figure out if I'm a person that you're sexually attracted to, or that you want to fuck, or you want to get down and do the things, then you're not the person for me.
Right.
Like, I don't believe that I have to convince you to want me sexually. And if I have to convince you, then that's putting in a lot more work than I'm willing to. Um, and do you mind even going in a little bit deeper about this validation aspect, like on these apps?
Yes. So one of the things, one of the reasons why I mentioned the validation aspect of the sending news is because one of the things is, and this is just from personal experience. My
Mm-hmm.
personal experience always been a situation where sometimes the person may send me a message saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Well, actually, scratch that. It don't even be like that. It be sometimes where they just want to see a dick pic or see your ass, things like
Mm,
that. And so, really and truly, that's where it gets messed up at. So, generally speaking, whenever you're trying to have a conversation with somebody, it's hey, how you doing? What color is the skies? Things like that. But in this particular context, it's not even like that. And I think when it comes to that validation aspect of those photos, you're dealing in a situation where the person not necessarily getting to know you, they're only getting to know the sexual side of you or the superficial layer of you. So
mm-hmm.
basically like the skin part, like what you packing, what how much junk you got in your trunk, stuff like that, all kind of
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And one
Yeah.
of the other things I want to mention as well too is because I think this is where the attraction thing comes in as well too. So when it comes to sending news, I think most people, especially particularly men, now I'm not generalizing all men into one category because most men have a different way of getting turned on. But,
Mm-hmm.
there are some studies that have shown that men are primarily visual. So sometimes they would like that visual component just to be particular so that way it can kind of help them like figure out what they're attracted to, which I'm not against. I'm very much a visual person too, but also there's more layers to get to know a person other than sending nudes. So I've
Exactly.
learned that time and time again, and it's quite interesting. But the validation aspect is a critical component.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you brought up the like many men being visual, and I like it's like you said, I'm definitely understanding of that. It's cool with me, but I think that we do need to dig a little bit deeper into that too, because it's like
Mhm.
outside of what you see, what else is there to expect after that? Like I prefer to have some type of conversation, like even if it is just surface level sex or what have you. Like I
Right,
do like to have some type of conversation about expectations, what is this going to look like, if you even need anything after we hook up, or it's like, hey, we're gonna have sex and you're gonna have to leave. Like like have some kind of understanding of what we're both interested in order to have this sexual encounter, because if we're not aligning on what we're looking for at the time, then there's no need for me to send news. There's no need for me to have any further conversation with you, because we already recognize that we're not a match. And if the aesthetic requires a little bit more, or like I've had guys specifically reach out to me asking me for images of me like in panties and all these other things, and I'm like, that's just not who I am. That's not something that I'm comfortable with. Can I wear some panties? I have not, but if it's like a nice little event and I want to be filmed the fuck out, then yeah, I'll do it and be great and be
right,
happy with it. But it's not something I'm doing for the sexual gratification of another person. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting. Like I feel like for a lot of people on the apps, it is just to like I want this sexual stimulation in order for me to like ease my own personal horniness or my own excitement, that the only interest that I have is solely just to see what is under your clothes, and not recognizing that there is a human being that you're speaking to, and that no person is carries the job of being your sexual gratification. Now, I get that we have people in the sex work industry where yes, the content that they produce is there for your sexual gratification, but outside of the content that is behind some paywall or some marketing ploy in order to get you to follow them, they don't owe you any additional things outside of that. Like, you're not entitled to people's personal images just because you're horny.
Right, exactly. And to add on to that, one of the things I have noticed with these apps, there are a lot of pick collectors. And like
Hmm.
it is so common, it's so commonly known that one of the reasons why I don't send news anymore, besides me deleting the apps, because I'm just tired of the apps in general. But,
Fair.
the thing about it is a lot of these individuals, they have a tendency to like want to hoard pics, particularly like sexual images of different people. And my thing is, you do what you do. That's perfectly fine with me. But if you know you don't, if your interest is only for just being a pit collector, just at least be very vocal about it, so that way I know where we stand, and so that way I can have that just make that decision on whether or not we should proceed on with carrying on the conversation. Because quite frankly speaking, if it's going to just be a situation where you just want pics, I just have no interest to engage with you like that.
Exactly. And this actually leads into another thing that I want to discuss, which is understanding the person's intents, right?
Mhm.
Like, there are people who are very much so happy to just send news just to send news. And just having the conversation with them and just being honest about, hey, I'm just here to see pics. That's cool. That's great.
Mhm.
Like, do what you want to do, find that. However, if I'm not the person who is also looking for that same thing, then don't don't keep trying to get these out of me. Like, don't
Right.
try to paint this picture that you're looking for something a little bit like, let's say, hey, I want to pull up and all these other things, and I just need to see what it looks like before I, make the decision. Then
Right.
no. Like, just say, hey, I just want to see what you look like naked, and that's it. Okay, fine. That's cool.
Right.
If I was that type of person, here you go. There you go. Like, it's
Mhm.
it's easier. You get a lot of what you want when you be a lot more honest with people. Will there be rejection? Yes, but
Mhm.
rejection is not the end of the world. And think
Right.
about what it would be like if you get some nude pictures from somebody who enjoys sending nude pictures, and they send you more because, oh, this is what you're looking for. This is what I like to do. So, hey, if you want to be the person I send my news to every time I take them, how you feel about that? And now you can
Sure.
find more people who wanted to do the same thing. And now you're building a huge collection of news from people who are willing to send it to you for free, for you to,
Mhm.
do whatever it is that you want to do with that. And that's fine.
Right. Because I will say this too, and I'm one of those people that's guilty of it. So when I first started
Ooh.
back in 2020 with the hookup scene, I will be honest with you. Sending news was my way of seeking validation from men because of the
Hmm.
simple fact that I was like, hey, I never got a chance to converse with men or anything like that. And plus, I will say this was a terrible mindset I had back then, was when I was like, most men only are interested in sex. So I was like, hey, what way can I attract them or anything like that by sending nudes?
The Soliloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Soliloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Soliloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation.
Most men only only are interested in sex. So I was like, hey, what way can I attract them or anything like that by sending nudes? And I will be honest with you, like when I first started sending nudes was actually back when the pandemic hit, and then also on top of that, I was uploading on this porn website called XTube. Now the XTube thing has been since then been deleted, but during that time, that was just my way of actually seeking validation from myself because I was shaming my body. But not only that, I was also trying to seek attention from men. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I know a lot of listeners may look at me may sound like I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about, or I had low self esteem. But hey, this was a person who was just seeking validation, just trying to explore their sexuality. And
Hmm.
from that moment on, I had learned about the importance of self love and self worth from that moment. So
Hmm.
I have been that person that has sent news just because I'm like, okay, let's just see how it works. And don't get me wrong, many people liked it, many people didn't. But it was a great learning experience because for me, it made me realize over time, I'm like, hey, I don't have to send these news because I'm like, for one, if I got an audition just before I can hook up, suck your dick, or eat your ass or something like that, then no, I'm not interested because my thing is this. There's more to a person than the sex. And I think
Hmm.
that's what a lot of people not feel are failing to realize. And one thing I do want to capitalize on, you brought this up earlier about aligning with another person. I think a lot of people are so fixated on being attracted to a person, but they're not focused on the aspect of alignment. If a
Hmm.
person is specifically aligned with you and with your intentions and with your particular energy, then it'll work either which way. Now, the attraction part, how can I say it? Attraction is a very important factor, I would say, but also I think of it as fire. Over time, fire has a thing where it dwindles, and sometimes it gets lower. It gets lower and lower, so the
Hmm.
heat starts being a more less intense. So with that being said, the attraction factor, yes, it is important, but also in order for that attraction thing to be able to work, you have to have that alignment thing as well too. So as long as that both of those people are able to make that type of thing alignment work, then it should be able to be right. But once again, not a lot of people are true with their intent and everything like that. So that's why a lot of things doesn't go right.
Yeah, I agree. And I would add um like the feelings of shame or guilt for, being on the apps to seek validation. And I feel like it's a lot of people do it. It's very normal.
Uh-huh.
And not that shame is not important, but sometimes we have to, just have that truthful conversation. Like, this
Uh-huh.
is where I was at that point. Was there some insecurity? Yes, cool, whatever it is, but I'm now learning myself a little bit better. And I know there's a lot of young people. Even when I was a lot younger, I too, participated in, sending news because I felt like that was the normal thing to do, or because people kept
Right.
asking, and I see that people are just sending news willy-nilly. I I was thinking like, okay, I guess I do have to start taking these nude photos in order to send it to people, in order to show them that, I'm really interested in engaging in this sexual encounter with you, and this is the proof that I am willing, I'm open to doing it. Because maybe if I don't send it, they'll see me as being more of a flake or these other things. And
Right.
even at the time, realizing that I don't really want to do this, this is something that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't, you know, even the messages is like of being young or be careful what you send to people online and all this other shit. Like, all this playing in my head, but I'm like, but I know I need to do this. And end of the day, no, I never really did. And
Right.
a part of that is growth, maturing, and all of that. And also knowing yourself and being true to yourself. Like, I think about the younger version of myself, if I were
Uh-huh.
to be a lot more true to myself, not to say I would not have made similar mistakes, but I would have felt a lot more gain my sense of self-confidence a lot sooner
Right.
than I thought I would, right? So it's like,
Right.
yeah, just the shame of it all. I hope that a lot more queer folk and even, the heteros really start to think about whether or not this is something that is really fitting for them. Is this something that I truly need? Is this something that is me leaning into my own validation or wanting validation
Mhm.
for others? Why is it that I feel very comfortable with sending nudes? Is it because I just like it? That's fine. And now figuring
Mhm.
out, hey, who else can I send these nudes to see my nude ass body? But also being mindful with that comes respect. Because you're not
Right.
going to just see my body and think that you have ownership of what my body does. No. You're seeing my body because I gave you permission to see my body, and you will respect the permission that I gave you because you're not entitled to anything over here.
Exactly. And
Mm,
that's a very important, most important thing about whenever we have these exchanges because from sending news, I think one thing that's very important too about sending news, that's a form of vulnerability. And I
mm,
think, unfortunately, a lot of times when you're sending news, just like you were saying early, in a sense, sometimes it's good to have shame and also a little bit and some modesty because whenever you send news, sometimes, and I've learned this too, sometimes when you send news, it kind of gets rid of the surprise factor. And that's one of the main reasons why I've stopped doing it I've learned from my mistakes. Because
mm,
sometimes whenever you just reveal every little bit about yourself, even like not just figuratively, figuratively and literally,
mm,
it brings that wow factor to a close. And that what
mm,
makes the person less interested, make them less engaged. Because like, oh, okay, I've seen this. This is okay, and but it's getting a little bit boring. Like, what more do you have to offer? So when it comes
yeah.
to sending news, that's one of the most important things that people have to realize. I'm not ashamed about the idea of sending news or doing the news because I've done it myself. But once again, where would that wow factor be, or how would you feel in that situation where you feel like you're only getting that form of validation? Because sometimes that can be seen as a drug itself.
Mm,
Getting that form of like validation, also that attention, like it's okay and all, but at the same time, everything wears off eventually. You got to come back to reality. So that's one thing for a lot of people to take in consideration of when doing that.
agreed, agreed. And one thing that really came up for me was what was it? Oh, don't do it, ADHD, don't do it. No, Lord, no. I hate when that happens. I truly do. It'll probably come back. But anyways, something to bring up in addition to this is a part of our conversation. We are talking about finding empowerment through news.
Mhm.
And I know my own personal journey. Like, I really do enjoy taking nude photos. Like,
Mhm.
it's great, and also taking photos when the clothes that I'm wearing are quite revealing. It just feels great. It's freeing and whatnot.
Oh
And I
yes.
remember when I was already feeling more confident and all this other stuff by this point anyways, but I really wanted to celebrate myself, celebrate my body, celebrate a lot more of what feels more genuine to me when it comes to sending nudes. So I did a boudoir shoot and fully in the nude for the vast majority of it, and it felt amazing. Like, and to hear other people who've seen my boudoir photos, like, Bertie, you actually inspired me to go ahead and do the same thing. And I'm like, yes, bitch. And I share those pictures. Those pictures are online and everything. And I just be like, whenever I see people post their own news, I was like, I need to step your new game up because this is what we're doing in 2023 going forward. Like, if you're not doing a nude boudoir, are you really doing news? Like, come on, bitches. Let me
Right.
stop. But there's outside of doing a boudoir photo shoot, there's real empowerment that a person can gain from the act of not necessarily sending them especially to strangers, but encapsulating their own nude body for something for themselves, something that they can share with friends, something that they can share with a partner. But just doing that does build up a nice sense of confidence too. And I wanted to know your
Right.
perspective on that as well.
And actually, I do agree with that because whenever you do news, especially when you're taking news for yourself, I think that is a form of empowerment because that is a form of like helping with healthy body image. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, one of the things that helped me throughout my journey with my body image, because I used to have a lot of issues with weight and everything. Besides exercise and all that, I use affirmations and things like that just help me with taking nude pics and things like that too. Now, also, there's a new thing I have done recently, where I've been doing for quite a while, tattoos, believe it or not. So a lot of people don't realize this, but I don't know. I've learned that getting tattoos also enhance your body image, like in a sense where it gives you that form of you're giving yourself that consent to change your body as a form of art.
Mm-hmm.
And so how my mindset is now versus a few years back, I look at my body as a canvas. It's a form of expression of myself and how I choose to handle myself throughout my encounters, just with myself and wherever I choose to deal with. But also the tattoos that I usually have that I have on me, it's just a form of expressing like the things I've gone through, and also a way of giving me that ability to basically express myself in a way that helps me enhance my nudity in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said before, I see my body as a canvas, as a work of art, a way that helps validate myself in a sense where it's a form of empowerment, but also a way to remind myself, like, hey, this is what I choose to do with my life and do with my body, and that's a form of empowerment for me. So I do
Mm-hmm.
actually agree with that, and I think whenever you are around people that actually can see your vision and also be able to, I don't want to say you want to seek validation from them necessarily, but it does help whenever you're around people that basically that are supportive of it and that basically admires it, because that's a form of influencing others to like have a different perspective on how they should treat themselves. Now, I'm not saying everybody should get tattoos. I'm not definitely saying that at all. But for me, from my standpoint, that was one of the things that helped me with, with my body image, things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
And I love the phrase that you used, like a part of, getting tattoos, um, was a version of you consenting to yourself.
Yes.
Like that that's just a beautiful framing. And I like that because like we don't, of course, we've said this on the podcast before, like we don't really talk about consent as much, but to even think about that idea of giving that, and it rings along the line of giving yourself permission to do, right?
Right.
Rather than thinking about the many things that you're not allowed, saying, who says that I can't do that? Who says that I'm unwilling, that that's not a possibility for me? But choosing to go a different direction or to do something because it is something that feels good to you and helps you feel more confident. Yeah, that was a word. Just
Right.
wanted to say.
Thank you. Because I will be honest with you, whenever like when they're on the talk about sending news, I have been in a situation where I gave power. I let people take my power over my body. So that's just not related to like sending news. That just means other things as well too. And that's one of the reasons why I have felt like I had to do tattoos, because that's my way of taking back my power. But also not only that, just incorporating different things that help me along the way of being more grounded in my body and being able to be comfortable with myself in full nude. And that's one of
Hmm.
the ways it have helped me. And I'm very thankful for the experience I've been through. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't been easy, but I would not trade it for anything in the world, because it has taught me a lot about myself and about a lot of how people are in general. So, this is a very great opportunity.
Yeah. All right. So before we even close things out, there was another, we kind of touched base on this a little bit earlier, but I feel like we can hone in on this topic a little bit more, and that is
Yes.
just sending news to get other men's attention, or just
Hmm.
other people's attention if we want to broaden that horizon. And I know, like you mentioned before, some of that was just you seeking validation. But I'm curious to look at things in a lens of attention, and what was the attention that you may have been looking for when it came to, okay, I made the decision. Here we go. Let's move from there.
So from that perspective, when I send the news, my intentions were, I'm just keep it frank, sex. I wanted sex because I wanted to feel sexually attractive. And so during that time, when I first started this, I didn't feel attractive enough. So my way of trying to do that was just sending nude pics and everything like that. Now, also this too. I think also my thing was because I was just exploring my sexuality, I enjoyed sending the news and also of getting men's attention because I was like basically fishing for the attention by sending the news out. And it worked, don't get me wrong, it worked on some occasions, but also too, it sometimes didn't work because sometimes they may have had a preference for something else. So that
Mm,
was another thing that had let me know like, hey, sending news is cool and all, but also it gets dull over time. And then also too, one of the things is when you're sending nudes, I have had experiences where actually it was a mutual thing where me and another person we just send news. No intent out of it was no intentions of actually hooking up or anything like that. But it's more so a focus on, just seeing what we got, just showing like our bodies, celebrating our bodies. So it was one of
mm.
those things.
And I think about like for me, um I know there definitely were moments where I would want to like I think of like where people will have thirst traps, right? And
Right.
those are the main source of gaining attention from people.
Uh-huh.
I've definitely had moments. I didn't necessarily use news for that, but I had pictures where it's like, oh no, you look fine as fuck here. And let's go ahead and put that out there and see what comes. Like who's also going to see you just as attractive or want to reach out and blah 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 blah. Because putting it on the app was for me to gain that attention rather than, you know what, I'm just putting this on here because this is a snippet of my personality, right? This is a snippet
Right.
of things that I like to do. For example, after I guess this is more of the transition from that. Like when I attended some kink parties, Sex Down South, and all these other events, or even the boudoir photos, I ended up putting some of those online, like literally on Facebook, because it was something that I felt good in doing,
Mhm.
and I just felt amazing in it. So yeah, hey. I feel comfortable wherever I post here. It's not against the terms of services, so I don't care if you see a little bit of boobs. That's your problem, not
Right.
mine. But like, I would post these things online, but it's not to gain anybody's attention. It was more so for me just sharing with the world the things that makes me happy, the things that brought me joy, or sharing a moment of joy that I experienced. And yeah, I will put some of that online on like the apps too. But at
Right.
that point, it's not to like, I don't care if you like the picture. I don't care if you don't like the picture. This is just a snippet of who I am. You can ask
Right.
about it. You can ask, oh, why are you wearing this? Or like I would get some like when I was on the apps, people confused about me saying, no, I don't wear women's clothing. And then look at me in this mesh outfit looking very femme, and it's like, this is an event. I'm not doing all this stuff to make you feel good and feel sexy and powerful and all this other shit or to appease your own ego. I'm not doing that.
Right.
That's doing too
Exactly.
much work for a motherfucker I don't know. Like, we're not
Exactly.
doing any of that. But like, just being in that space of, you know, seeing where attention takes a hold versus where just showing my personality like I liked my profiles a lot more when they were focused on these are just little aspects of me. This is a picture where I feel like I look great in. Is brings back a positive memory. I was happy throughout the entire moment or existence
Right.
of this picture. I'm going to share that. You like it, cool. If you don't, cool. But this is not about you. Even if I may be on a dating app where the sole purpose is to find people.
Right.
But if you don't like my personality, then you're not going to like me regardless.
Right.
So it's like I just don't care about whether or not this at least not anymore, whether or not this little piece that I put onto the social medias brings you into my orbit because there's a strong possibility that you were a rock that was or a comet that was supposed to miss my planet, and you need to go ahead and go where you need to go.
Right. I like that. I do like that.
But yeah. All right. So, any last words before we go into the last parts of the show?
Mm-mm, nothing else. Nothing I can think of.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. So I'm doing something a little bit different. It's season four and all these other great things, and I'm still not in a position to get all my stuff out of storage. Y'all mind your business, okay? Life be lifing. So I don't have the would you rathers. Granted, I could just always have stuff on the side, whatever. I'm not doing all of that. But there is something that I really wanted to do for this season, especially because of the times that we're living in and how ghetto this damn country has become and has always been. Let's be real. It's just gotten more ghetto. We're just in the trailer park, and the trailer park only got three teeth amongst everybody here, but we're here. But one of the things that I wanted to focus on specifically for season four is like liberation and whatnot. So the question that I'm asking all guests in each episode is, what makes you feel sexually liberated in this moment?
Oh, that's a very good question. Dang. Oh
Thank
God.
you. Thank you. I know. I keep surprising people with
Oh
it.
God. Oh God. I need some time to reflect on that. What makes me feel
Listen.
sexually liberated? I guess like
If you need me to go first, I don't mind. Because of
yes,
course you didn't know the
let you
question
go
was
first.
going.
I'm gonna let you go first.
And you know it's going to be here for the next time we
Damn.
record. So, right. I would say a little bit for me comes from this conversation, honestly, is that I don't feel tied
Hmm.
to conforming to the norm of sending news. And again, it's nothing wrong with it. It's not a problem, but I don't feel as though, at least anymore, I don't feel like in order for me to find happiness, in order for me to find sexual encounter, in order for me to find a partner, that I have to first do something that I'm uncomfortable with in order to really establish a connection. That the person that is who's meant for
Mhm.
me, who wants me, that they don't really need that part of me until I'm comfortable with sending it to them. So that's the thing, at least for me, that makes me feel sexually liberated in this moment.
Damn, that's good. Shoot. Damn. I
I'll be
think for
trying.
me, oh God. Damn. No, for me, I think what helps me feel, I think what makes me feel sexually liberated is the fact that I'm finally
Oh,
actually,
not your signal going in and out. Hold up. Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay. You kind of went out a little bit. What were you
Oh
saying?
God. I was just saying like
What the God's doing? Not
every
every time you
myself,
start
my sexuality and being able
the
to,
disrespect. Hold up.
oh God.
KP.
Hold up, yeah.
All right. I don't know what's going on over there, but you going in and out. It is funny because it's like every time you start saying the thing that makes you feel sexually liberated, it's like
I
we're just
know.
going to pause.
Yeah, like God
All right.
damn, experiencing technical difficulties like God dog.
Look, it happens. All right, so we're going to try this one more time and see what
Okay.
happens. All right, let's go. Action.
Okay. What makes me feel sexually liberated is being able to finally celebrate my body and for who I am as a person. Not just on a sexual level, but from all aspects of my being in a way where I get to basically dictate myself and in the fact that I can see myself in a different light from where I once was. And now that I have that power and that form of empowerment, I'm able to celebrate myself in a way where I not only feel sexy, but I'm able to radiate that level of energy with confidence, without a false sense of confidence, and
Mhm.
bring some level of inspiration to other people. Well, not to bring those, but just being myself, basically.
Okay, yes, yes. It worked out that time. It worked out,
Yeah.
and that was a word.
So I
All
was
right.
struggling for dear life though.
It's all good. All right. So before I close this out, is there any last words that you would like to share with the audience?
I would just say this from personal experience. If you know for a fact that you're either if you're not comfortable with sending news, don't feel the need to actually send news, especially when it's a situation where this when it's just a quick nut. If it's just gonna be one night of like passion that's not gonna last for eternity, I wouldn't put much emphasis on it. Simply because you're much more than just a pic. They say a pig is worth 1,000 words, but in this particular moment, it just only says like you're just a nut for many people, just for that person to see. And for one, I would just say from my experience, just don't do yourself like that. Get to know the person for who they are, and you have that power to make that decision of whether or not you would like to send that nude. That nude itself is a form of consent. What you choose to send is a form of consenting to what may go right or what may go wrong. So just be able to discern what's right for you. That's what I would say.
Yes, yes. Teach the children and the adults out here. The old as adults, older than both you and I, who don't know this message. Like teach them all. Like your value is important, and you don't have
Mhm.
to betray yourself just because someone wants a quick nut, or just because you want a quick nut. Like,
Right.
yeah, I was about to go all back into the episode. That is enough. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on to the show, KP. You know you're always appreciated and loved. And to the audience, thank y'all so much for listening to the Holy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. And just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy. You are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye.
Good one.
Thank you for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.holiloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.